Welcome to Fact Finder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domingue. For years, Wichitans have seen and heard proposals for what the future of Century 2 could look like, but that's all they've been so far is just an idea. But if voters pass a 1% sales tax next month, the plan would be to invest $250 million to Century 2 and the Bob Brown Expo Center for renovations and expansion. We looked back at what experts have said Century 2 needs to get back to industry standard and if current plans meet those needs.
This is a conversation starter.
I just really hope this is not another plan that gets put on the shelf.
The message from former Wichita city leaders back in February 2023 after looking at a new proposed design plan for Century 2. This was that plan for how to turn the facility into a more modern convention center.
I think if you squint, it doesn't look that much different, but when you zoom in on this, it's a completely transformed destination. During
that meeting, a design director who specializes in convention centers estimated that a project like this would cost around $400 million. Here's how it was broken down. Century 2 would be modified, Bob Brown Expo Center would be expanded, a repurposed library into an event center, and more. But the one thing that was said Century 2 needed to be competitive was a 30,000 square foot ballroom.
Putting that ballroom inside of Century 2 is absolutely viable. I promise you that meeting planners are looking for unique experiences. There would be nothing more unique than to put that 30,000 square foot ballroom inside of Century 2.
So how does that design compare to the current plans presented by Wichita Forward? The proposal from the group behind the sales tax mirrors plans from the past, but focuses solely on Century 2 and the Bob Brown Expo Hall. $25 million will be spent on modernizing Century 2, with more of an investment being made to expand Bob Brown, including an additional ballroom and meeting rooms.
Right now, we're losing more and more regional trade shows and conventions because we don't have enough modern space.
However, during our 12 News Roundtable on the sales tax, Celeste Reset, who has pushed to revitalize Century 2, but is also against the sales tax, says there is currently a 10-year capital plan to renovate the facility. She says after that, more work would still be needed, but she wants to see more defined plans on how that money would be spent.
Talking about too vague, we really don't know what they're planning to do with the renovation. So until we have concrete plans for Century 2, I'm saying no to this proposal.
Now, we did ask about final designs or renderings. Visit Wichita tells us at this time there are none. Now, while the improvements would build on plans from the past, any detailed design work on a renovated convention center would not begin unless that sales tax does pass. Now, for more on that full roundtable, you can stream it right now on your smart TV. Just download the 12 News app on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV device. Just search KWCH in your app section. The Sedgwick County District Attorney announcing its findings after investigating a mailer sent by Wichita Forward. It's regarding next month's special election on the 1% sales tax. The mailer was sent in late January and gave some incorrect information for dates for advanced ballots and incorrect times for polls. The district attorney says there is no evidence that Wichita Forward's goal was to impede voters, and there is no evidence of criminal intent to support any criminal charges. Wichita Forward did issue an apology after sending the mailer. A Wichita fire station was evacuated in mid-February because of mold. Workers at Fire Station 15 were reassigned for the time being. Jordan Tovar talked with the president of the Firefighters Union, who says this issue isn't unique to just this one facility.
Mold was in the air. It's not just mold under the sink, mold around the ducts, mold in the ducts, mold over here. Station 15 actually was one of the worst. That building is older than I am. It's over 60 years old. And so these are the problems we've been facing for many years.
City officials say improvements to facilities, including fire stations, have been needed for years, but kept getting delayed due to deferred maintenance. Maintenance that Bush has said they've been waiting for. Over the weekend, Station 15 in East Wichita was evacuated after firefighters reported irritation from potential mold exposure.
When roofs leak, you can't wait 10 years, and usually we wait 10 years or more. Every year that thing is kicked down the road, it's another year that it's not fixed, but it's still in the CIP.
Councilmember Dalton Glasscock tells 12 News that mold concerns at several stations are not new.
A lot of them deal with constant infections, ear infections. I don't want to get too deep into their medical history, but trust me, it's not the same.
Bush said a recent report indicated mold presence in 20 of 22 stations. The temporary closure has caused crews to be reassigned while additional testing is done, but while the firefighters from Station 15 can still serve the area, response times are slower.
They basically just split them up, and so they can respond to that area. It's just, again, it's going to be a slow response time, which is just tragic. This should never happen.
Now, Wichita City Council members also getting an update on that mold situation. The city manager and Public Works Director giving a presentation on mold and water damage at the city's fire stations. But right now, they don't know how much it'll cost to make those repairs. City Manager Dennis Marstall says fire station number 1 was inspected for a black substance back in September, and remediation was done at that time. Then in October, the city started accepting bids to do a mold study at all of its fire stations. That report showed mold at many of those stations, but only a few of them were at a serious level. But city leaders acknowledging how serious of a situation this is.
If there is information from those reports that need to be communicated and shared with the public, I think another council agenda item would be appropriate, making sure that living quarters of firefighters and workplaces for any of the City of Wichita employees are health and safe. That should be the top priority.
Now, as for when the city council will receive that report, right now, that's still unclear. The mayor said the council will be ready to figure out how to fund the mini repairs at the city's fire stations once it finds out how much it'll all cost. So to come on Fact Finder Investigates, sheriff's departments around the state needing help with their staffing shortages. The impact that limited staffing is having on their departments, coming up. People in Salina are shocked after a Kansas Department of Agriculture inspector failed the Salina animal shelter. The shelter was found to be non-compliant in a number of areas and was caught euthanizing animals without sedation. Cale Chapman spoke with people speaking for change in Salina's animal services about what they want to see.
I get a little bit sick to my stomach thinking about the animals.
On January 12th, the Kansas Department of Agriculture inspector released this report saying that the Salina Animal Shelter had failed its inspection and was non-compliant on 6 different points.
I haven't went in any animal shelter and seen that, and I hope I never do. That's not what you're supposed to see.
The inspector found that animals were given medication without authorization by a veterinarian, that employees who had no training or certification in euthanasia were carrying out multiple euthanizations, and that there had been 61 euthanizations between October 1st and the report being released. Multiple were done by heart stick, a lethal injection directly into the animal's heart. One cat was euthanized via heart stick and was never sedated.
I did run the animal shelter and I was horrified. I've never in my life done a heart stick on an untranquilized animal.
Rose Bass, a former director of the Salina Animal Shelter, says during her time, the shelter never had these violations and something needs to change with the current leadership.
Salina Animal Shelter is now being ran under the Parks and Recreation Department. They've moved someone over from the pool, the aquatics, to oversee the animal shelter. I think they've got people over there that's not trained. They don't know what they're doing. They're not certified.
People in the community say they will continue to advocate for animals until the shelter shows them they've really improved.
They're a living, breathing creature, and we are their voices. If we don't speak up for them, then they're going to suffer, and we have to protect them. We're going to keep speaking up, and we're not going to go away.
In Salina, Cale Chapman, 12 News.
Now, after the report was released, Salina Animal Services posted a statement to their Facebook page saying they were making corrections, including suspending all euthanasia in-house. Leaders in Sedgwick County recently held a budget workshop. It's where they got a chance to get feedback from numerous departments as they look ahead to shaping the 2027 budget. Sheriff Jeff Easter was one of those who spoke about a critical need. Last July, courthouse police was integrated into the sheriff's office. It's now called Courthouse Security, and it consists of 33 positions. However, right now, there are 10 openings, which is about a 30% vacancy. He says most applicants are retired law enforcement, and the current rate of pay is significantly less than competitors. His idea is to reclassify those positions. For instance, a courthouse security deputy would reclassify to a sheriff's deputy. Now, during the presentation, he highlighted this specific video showing why it's so important to have security at the courthouse. It happened just this month after a man was sentenced in a murder case After the sentencing, the victim's family and suspect's family was kept apart. They brought the victim's family out first and were trying to get them off the property. Then the suspect's family came out, and it led to this brawl.
2 of our deputies sustained just some scratches and bruises and those type of things. But the reason I indicate that is that another reason why we need deputies at the courthouse and quality deputies, because this is the type of stuff that can happen and has happened twice since we took them over in July.
Now, Sheriff Easter says there have been an increased amount of cases and arrests at the courthouse since it came under their review. A Kansas Sheriff's Office is facing a shortage of female detention deputies. The Harvey County Sheriff says they already face staffing shortages and women are desperately needed. Harvey County currently has 4 shifts at their jail, but only 3 female deputies. This can leave shifts without a female worker sometimes, which not only jeopardizes female inmate safety, it also takes the jail out of compliance with federal safety regulations under the Prison Rape Elimination Act. We spoke to one of the women who works at the jail who says the lack of female deputies is taking its toll.
I don't live in town, so it takes me a little bit to get here. And then officers are having to wait on us, so that way they make sure that there's nothing on them before they leave. So it kind of takes a strain on everybody.
And if you have any interest in working as a deputy, the sheriff wants to hear from you. You can apply for that job on the Harvey County government website. And if you have a story, we do want to hear from you. You can call us or email our investigators at the address and the number you see there on your screen. We'll look into interview issues for the next Fact Finder Investigates.